Well, my friends, in our society today, graduates, our world needs to be turned upside down. I know it simply because people spend more time judging each other instead of loving each other. Graduates, our world needs to be turned upside down because the church has become more of a country club, if you will, than believers who hit the ground running to desire to be the hands and feet in our world today. Graduates, I'm calling you out. Our world needs to hear that there is a risen Savior who died for every sin that you and I could ever commit. However, my friends, this message, the gospel, if you will, is hidden at the bottom. Instead, people would rather think that Muhammad is the answer. Some people believe that Buddha is the answer. Some people have fixated their medulla oblongata to believe that self-preservation is the answer. Some people believe, Hamish, that being a Hebrew Israelite is an answer. However, my friends, I'd like to submit and suggest to each and every one of you that these religions have no reason being on the top of the minds of anybody in our society. My friends, instead, there needs to be a shifting that takes place. You see, Jesus deserves to be talked about in the grocery store as well as the schoolhouse. He deserves to be seen throughout our actions. My friends, people don't need more instructions. They need an example. And the example is already formed in the person of Jesus Christ. And so, you see, my friends, but when I tell you that you got clearance to turn this world upside down, I think back to 3 years ago. Well, I was pretty cheap working for GNC and didn't have much money. And my friend worked for Delta Airlines at the time and gave me this thing called a buddy pass. You see, and a buddy pass meant that you had to be on standby. You didn't have an assigned seat. Instead, they would give you the assigned seat once every other seat was filled. Well, I was sitting there one day. They called my name up. I'm trying to go to Dallas. And then they said, here you go, Joshua Scott. I look on it, and the Lord had blessed me because I was sitting in first class in the first seat of the plane. Come on, highly favored in here. Hey, but check this out. As I was sitting in first class, I could see directly into the cockpit. I was looking in that cockpit and I heard a lot of noise, a lot of people on the airways talking to the pilots. And after I sat there for about 5-10 minutes, I noticed that all of us have it all wrong. We like to think that the pilots are the heroes of a plane ride. But the pilots really aren't the heroes of the plane ride because it's really the air traffic controller. You see, the air traffic controller literally tells the pilot what to do. The air traffic controller tells the pilot if there are any weather advisories. The air traffic controller even picks the runway that the pilot will even go on. The air traffic controller tells the pilot when to land and when to go. My friends, but I was sitting there intently listening, knowing that I didn't know what half of the stuff meant. But as I was sitting there listening, I began to think that that's the exact same thing that God does for each and every one of us. God literally instructs us. He alerts us and of any obstacles that he sees for our lives. But this is the best thing about God. God's not only your life controller, but he's also your pilot, because God can also steer your life in whatever direction that he desires. All I'm trying to say, my friends, is that literally you've got a life controller named God that's checked the weather of all of our lives. And he's told me that the weather may be sunny on some days, rainy on another day, and even a few tornadoes may hit in your life. But literally, the only way you're going to make it to your destination is to hold on to the tangible example of Jesus. But along the route of your journey, live upside down, love others, pray for others, love your neighbor as yourself. The road may get turbulent sometimes, but continue loving instead of judging. Stop worrying and go ahead and pray. And graduates, I want you to destroy every system of oppression that you see outside in that society. Graduates, you've been cleared to turn this world upside down. And where there's hatred, I'm challenging you to sow love. Where there's pain, I'm challenging you to add joy. Where there's racism, I'm challenging each and every one of you to provide inclusion. Graduates, you've been cleared to turn this world upside down. Where there's darkness, shine your light. Where there's a need, meet the need. Where there's hurt, add goodness. Where there's defeat, you lead someone to victory. And where there's chaos, you direct them to Christ. And when you do this, you'll experience the upside down effect of a God that's pleased and a world that's a better place. Graduates, our world needs you. First thing you gotta do is repeat after me, say submit. Submit. Now you gotta say it like you love the Lord, and when you sleep, you gotta wake up, say submit. Submit. To the will. To the will. Of God. Of God. See, that word submission means to come under the covering of somebody's leadership other than your own. It's really, it gives the word picture of literally an umbrella that shields you from rain. And so therefore, if you come under the covering of somebody other than your own, that means you're saying, in essence, I will trust your leadership other than my own. I will trust your way because it's better than my way. And so if you look right here in verse 13, I'm going to paraphrase it for you. Paul says, listen, I wanted to come to you, but really, I could not until now. That's basically what he says, okay? And so literally, that thing messed me up Tuesday morning. Because I said, Paul, you just told us that you were in Corinth, Greece. So how is it that you're saying you could not come to the Roman church until now? Brother, you ain't even there. What you talking about? And then Paul said, brother, you ain't catching this. I may not be there physically, but my words are having a spiritual impact. And so check this out. Paul is saying, I know I'm held up on another mission to give God our submission instead of our excuse. We would love instead of hate. We would forgive instead of holding grudges. People would cry instead of spiritually die. This is what Jesus meant when he says that the harvest is plentiful. But that's the workers, they few. Meaning that society is filled with people that act the fool. I'll be real honest with you. My fiance that's here, and my mama know I'm telling the truth. I watch Love and Hip Hop. And I'm going to tell you why I watch it. Because I didn't want to understand why people really act like this. Extra, read all about it. There's a news flash. If you're going to be faithful, you must move past your preference. God's not concerned about your comfortability as much as he's concerned about your growth. And so sometimes in life you got to invest in those who you really don't even like. Sometimes in life you got to invest in those who you feel like they don't even deserve it. Sometimes in life you got to invest in and be nice to that teacher even when that teacher been mean to you. And so this is why you got to invest in them. It's because God wants his kingdom built and not yours. Submit. Keep going. Stop. Now, check this out. The water was clear, right? But all of a sudden, the water ain't clear no more. The water's not clear because as this iodine contaminated the water, sin contaminates us. And so, this is what Jesus did. Y'all see these? Y'all see all these things? Yeah. This is what Jesus did. Jesus said, well, I see y'all jacked up. Y'all gonna die because y'all ain't got no supernaturalness. So I'm gonna put this thing on, and I gotta serve as your spiritual eraser because you can't clean yourself. So I gotta do it for you because you literally cannot do it for yourself. I'm gonna cover you. And being that I'm gonna cover you, I'm gonna make sure that all of your sins will be as new. And so look at this as though not only am I covering you that way, but I'm gonna take your sins and I'm gonna throw them away. And literally, I'm gonna give you a new shirt. And you're gonna have a new And so Daniel knows about situations becoming lit because all you got to do is go to chapter 6. See, Daniel is 80 years old at the moment, and the kings have changed from Nebuchadnezzar to Belshazzar. Now it's this young man named Darius. You see, however, Daniel's even been promoted again. He's one of the provincial governors of Babylon now. However, y'all understand that even though he's the governor, there are some other governors, and those governors are upset because of the favor that's on his life. And so, young lady, I'm going to preach to you right now. You're doing some amazing things. They're talking about you being in the honor roll, and you're down there being like the Booker Taliaferro, Washington High School. But I want you to understand this. There are some people in that school that can't stand you because you're great. There's some people in that school and in life that can't walk with you because you're magnificent. But this is what I want you to do. Just keep going. Because when you keep going, you'll tell the people when you get there, don't be mad because God made me lit. Don't be mad. But check this out. See, Daniel's like you. Daniel's lit. He's got a lot of favor on his life. Them provincial governors, they can't stand it. They sitting there like, man, why do you have all this going on in your life? Why does the King Darius like you so much? Y'all ever had somebody just not like you and they don't even know why? They like these people. I told y'all the Bible, all right? Listen, and so all of a sudden they say, man, you know, I got to find a fault in Daniel. But I ain't going to find no fault in Daniel without really looking at his devotion to God. That's the only thing I can trip him up on.